I'm joined on the line by the National Chairperson of ActionSA, Michael Beaumont. Good morning, and thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, TT. It's good to be talking with you and your listeners about this issue.
Yeah, let's get the sense of what your objection is to the call that is being made by the right to vote, who will say that this is in the interest of transparency.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think let's be clear, ActionSA is pro-transparency. We've actually led the charge in this regard as a party who's always declared, who has had consecutive clean audits through the Party Funding Act provisions. And we have laid a number of charges against non-compliance with the existing party funding legislation, something I'll return back to in a moment. But effectively our concern is that the unintended consequence of My Vote Counts actions are actually to make private fundraising more difficult than it already is. And what that does is entrenches the status quo of politics in our country at a time in which people are rejecting the status quo. Because parties in Parliament receive their share of a whopping 1.5 billion rands that is allocated to parties every year. And what that really means is it's very hard for new parties to come in and challenge the status quo. But actually, this is what our country needs. ActionSA was able to do that in the 2024 elections. But at the end of the day, it's very hard for new parties to come and do that when they have such a disadvantage from a funding point of view. If My Vote Count succeeds in this effort, it's going to entrench a status quo where the parties at the top remain there despite the fact that more and more people are rejecting them. I think on the last point, and circling back, we need to also look at this issue of, do we have a legal problem here in terms of our law, or do we have a compliance issue? And I would venture it's the latter. As we have it right now, we have filed complaints against the ANC for the Isilweni 100 million rand debt settlement, which could not have complied with the Party Funding Act, with the EFF, who held a 75 million rand rally with 3 million rands worth of donations, and the MK Party, who, despite being one of the most well-funded parties in this last election, declared the grand total of 300,000 rand. Now, if we are not going to get the existing compliance issues right, what is the point of more regulations that are simply going to be ignored by the same players with impunity?